Your top stories this evening sponsored by Courts, bringing value home. MOHAMEDS extradition hearing continues in January. Matter remains in the magistrate's court. Despite promises of a blackout-free holiday, GPL woes continue. Blackout still not a thing of the past. GHRA warning on Human Rights Day. Human rights being pushed aside in Guyana. Public Works Ministry engaged in refresher training for technical staff. And in sport, BRICKDAM and DOLPHIN secondary schools record wins on opening day of the President's Futsal Championships. HGP Nightly News begins now. Good evening to our viewers here in Guyana and online. I'm Travis Chase with the Wednesday, December 10 edition of the HGP Nightly News. We have what you need to know this evening. We report first up on the legal development in the MOHAMEDS extradition hearing that continued on Wednesday in the Georgetown Magistrates Court. Magistrate Judy Latchman on Wednesday morning ruled that the Georgetown Magistrates Court will proceed with the extradition hearing for gold magnates Azruddin and Nazar Mohammed, dealing a major blow to the defense's attempt to halt the process. In a strongly reasoned decision, Magistrate Latchman cited multiple precedent cases and declared that the matter will remain squarely before the magistracy, clearing the way for the extradition proceedings to advance. The defense has already signaled its intention to appeal Magistrate Latchman's decision, setting the stage for an intense legal showdown. Here is Senior Counsel Roysdale Ford.
We believe that the court improperly exercised its discretion this morning when it found that the application should not be referred to the High Court. We believe that we would have established clearly the basis for it, the inconsistencies in the decisions, and clear unconstitutionality in relation to these provisions which were amended in 2009. We are entitled to approach the High Court itself as part of the procedural process set out in the Constitution.
MOHAMEDS legal team had argued that no extradition should proceed until the High Court rules on the constitutionality of the 2009 amendments to the Fugitive Offenders Act. But the prosecution dismissed that position as premature, speculative, and legally hollow, urging the court to affirm the validity of the amendments and prevent further delays.
These issues have never been articulated. There's no judicial decision on them. In 2009, the amendments were made. In 2016 or 2017, a decision was given by Justice Barlow in the Troy Thomas case. That case clearly indicated that what was challenged was the original section, which was always in the law.
Wednesday's ruling means that the father and son, wanted by the United States on wire fraud, mail fraud, and money laundering charges, tied to their gold trading empire, and Azruddin Mohammed's controversial Lamborghini purchase will now face an active extradition hearing at the magistrate's court, a welcomed ruling for the prosecution.
We're happy to move along the case. They have had their chance to raise their objections. They raised them, the court ruled. That is due process. And so we hope that in January we will be able to conduct the proceedings.
The extradition proceedings are scheduled to now commence on January 6, 2026. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. The Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Power and Light has assured the public that they should not be worried about power outages during the Christmas season, since the power company is well equipped to deal with the season's power demands. No sooner the CEO made that promise, like a thief in the night, citizens were forced to endure several power outages in just 12 hours. Marvin Cato reports.
I just want to address our preparedness for the holiday season. This is all part of us being prepared. We have been doing a lot of maintenance work, and which requires some amount of outages.
That was Chief Executive Officer of the Guyana Power and Light, GPL Inc., Kesh Nandalal, giving the Guyanese public all assurances that there would be reliable electricity supply throughout the Christmas holidays.
We need to do these maintenance work so that we can have reliable power and distribution for the hotlines.
He reminded that maintenance work is ongoing and it is important to have a properly functioning system. Nandalal explained that GPL has been carrying out extensive maintenance across its network in recent weeks, while he apologized for the inconvenience. He also stressed that these activities were necessary to ensure dependable power supply during the festive period.
As Yusuf mentioned, our peak demand we experience normally around September, October, and this year our peak demand was 221 megawatts.
Nandala reminded that peak use of electricity occurs during the dry season, hence blackouts should not affect citizens during the holiday season, since inclement weather is expected. However, it was as though karma had occurred. Hours after his bold announcement, the country experienced significant power outage. Meanwhile, distraught students and residents took to social media to vent their frustration as some were in the process of doing their online examinations.
Right now, we have available in the system reliably about 250 megawatts. We expect Christmas is not really our peak. And this it's something we need to clarify. Our peak usually is really in the hot season.
GPL has been plagued over the years by continued blackouts causing damage to household appliances and loss in production. With 2 power ships now aiding with power generation, it was expected that blackouts would be a thing of the past. However, that is not the case. Marvin Cato reporting for HGP Nightly News.
The Guyana Human Rights Association is using International Human Rights Day 2025 to issue a stark warning. Both globally and here in Guyana, human rights are being pushed aside by an obsession with wealth. In a strongly worded statement, the Guyana Human Rights Association says much of Guyana's progress on issues such as children's rights, women's rights, LGBT protections, trafficking in persons, and even the death penalty came not from domestic conviction, but from international pressure and the financial incentives tied to development assistance. But with Western democracies now retreating from their traditional human rights leadership, the GHRA is asking a pointed question. Where will Guyana find the moral drive to sustain a genuine human rights culture? The association warns that society is increasingly measuring success solely by accumulated wealth, displacing values like dignity, fairness, education, community service, and equality. As a result, the GHRA says Guyana is already paying the price through unequal access to jobs, contracts, scholarships, pension, house lot, and public appointments, fueling exploitation and abuse. The release also criticizes a culture that condemns high-profile corruption while accepting daily misconduct, bribery, harassment of women, and punitive transfers of public servants as normal. And while there is outrage at violence against women and children, the GHRA argues that these abuses are symptoms of a wider societal breakdown driven by greed and unrestrained behavior. With international pressure weakening, the association says civil society must step up, warning that too many people oppose corruption only until they are offered a chance to benefit from it. The GHRA concludes that Guyana's future will not be defined by the number of human rights treaties it signs, but by the extent to which rights actually shape everyday life and culture. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News. Stay with us. You're watching the HGP Nightly News. Thanks for staying with us here in the HGP Nightly News. Despite an architectural design for a new Amerindian hostel in Georgetown being finalized and additional resources earmarked in the 2026 national budget, the unanswered question is, what did the state do with the $70 million approved in 2024 for the same project? Antonio Day reports.
The Ministry of Amerindian Affairs has been allocated $7.2 billion in the 2025 national budget to facilitate development in hinterland communities. $70 million was approved in early 2024 for rehabilitation of the Amerindian hostel, including $24 million for general repairs, which include doors and washrooms, and $45 million for a new kitchen and bridge, with questions raised later about its implementation. Don Hastings-Williams, Member of Parliament from the We Invest in Nationhood Party, known as WIN, had expressed disappointment at the current state of the facility located at Princess Street in Georgetown.
It's very disappointing. It's very hurtful. It's a distress to the people, our indigenous people.
It was stated by the then Minister of Amerindian Affairs, Pauline Sukai, that the rehabilitation work would have included replacing doors, improving washrooms, and enhancing the overall condition of the residents. Some $24 million was approved for rehabilitation works, while an additional $45 million was allocated for the construction of a kitchen and a concrete bridge at the hostel. Many critics from the opposition have asked the question, what is the state doing with all of these budgetary allocations? Nightly News make efforts to contact Minister of Amerindian Affairs Sarah Brown for a comment, but this proved abortive. However, according to the Department for Public Information, the architectural design for a new Amerindian hostel in Georgetown is being finalized, and the government will set aside resources in the 2026 national budget to advance this construction. Residents reportedly endure non-functioning toilets, the absence of fans, mosquito nets, and mattress conditions so poor that the cases of scabies have increased. One source told Nightly News on Wednesday that children who reside at the facility were susceptible or have been victims of rape. According to the source, these cases are confirmed but were concealed. Recently, Minister Brown and representatives from WIN had a quarrel over the state of affairs at the hostel.
With the meals is not up to date.
We have 4 minutes. What we must acknowledge how far we have come to us.
How far the PPP in power 28 years? Very true. 28 years in power. And you're flushing tiling in a bucket.
Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Guyana has chartered a new course in regional aviation with the launch of the Caribbean's first air transport cadet program, positioning young people at the center of the nation's growing aviation ambitions. Tiana Cole is on this story.
Guyana on Tuesday launched the Next Generation of Aviation Professionals NGAP program, CARICOM's first ever air transport cadet program, designed to transform youth involvement in aviation and strengthen the region's future air transport capacity. Delivering the future address, President Irfan Ali said the initiative is integral to Guyana's push to expand and modernize the aviation sector.
So let us send a clear signal to the nation and to the world. Guyana is open for business, and our skies are open for growth. We have the vision, we are building the infrastructure, and now, with this initiative, we are training our people. The pre-flight checks are complete. All systems are set to go.
The president noted that Guyana's skies are becoming increasingly busy, with more international carriers setting their coordinates for the country, as new routes open and regional ties strengthen across the CARICOM family and beyond.
Fasten your seatbelts. Guyana's aviation sector is cleared for takeoff, and it is poised for a steep but safe climb.
He further highlighted that the domestic aviation network is expanding and will continue to grow as demand increases. The NGAP initiative is being executed in partnership with the Guyana Civil Aviation Authority, the International Air Cadet of the United Kingdom, the Air Cadets of Guyana, and the University of Guyana. The program targets students ages 11 to 60 through aviation-focused extracurricular activities and offers vocational and professional training opportunities for those 16 and older, marking a historic milestone for aviation development in the region. Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
The Ministry of Housing is pushing ahead with the full rollout of the electronic single-window system, following President Irfan Ali's directive for the platform to become fully operational within 2 months. The system is expected to transform how planning and building applications are processed in Guyana. Tiana Cole is on this story.
Following President Irfan Ali's strict 2-month deadline for the single-window system to be fully up and running, the Ministry of Housing is moving full speed ahead with the transformational project. Internally, the ministry has already begun addressing several key issues to support the transition. Minister of Housing Colin Crowell, in a telephone interview with this newscast, explained that the major change is that the Central Housing and Planning Authority, CHPA, will become the single entry point through which all applications must be submitted.
At the local authority levels, the way how they do their approvals would have had to change. That is in terms of uploading, having the plans approved, having the plans uploaded, because these all have to be uploaded and be able to be looked at on the portal.
Minister Kroll added that once an application is made at the ministry and accepted, it is then sent simultaneously to all relevant agencies. He noted that application processing should not exceed 45 days for major construction and no more than 1 month for simple construction.
The Central Housing Board still remains, that's as a final approval, but the reporting mechanism through the platform is where your application is dealt with.
He acknowledged that although there are challenges, the ministry is establishing access points through regional offices and local authorities, including NDCs, and has already conducted training to support the transition.
We will increase our public awareness sensitization to members of the public. We also have a much more quicker response now from the Board of Health as well as from Fire, because Guyana Fire Service has to give their input on approval for construction. And so all of these agencies have to respond on the portal.
The minister further stressed that internally there is a backlog of applications and the ministry is currently contacting applicants to update them on the status of their cases to move the process forward.
We can guarantee to say that within the 2 months time frame that has been set to get this right, we will. And we have made the necessary changes and we are working to improve the application timeline.
Tiana Cole reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Thank you, Tiana, for your reporting. Stay with us. There is more news ahead. Welcome back to the HGP Nightly News. The Ministry of Public Works has embarked on a refresher training for its technical staff in every administrative region. This exercise will aid in the proper functioning on the job. Marvin Cato will tell you more.
We've decided not to look at just the staff that is in Georgetown, but we have extended this workshop pulling persons from each one of the regions.
That was Lloyda Amsterdam, manager of the Materials Laboratory of the Ministry of Public Works, highlighting the importance of such training for clerks of work and engineer technicians.
This workshop, knowledge sharing activity, was birthed by our minister, Mr. Juan Echia.
She reminded that the training was as a result of the minister's vision to see the technical staff throughout the regions properly trained.
This was a refresher training that focused on documentation, measurement, application of curing compound, interpretation of construction drawings, preparation and marking of cubes, and closing of road after critical activities.
The retraining, which is hosted on Saturdays and commenced 3 weeks ago, caters to the technical staff from the different administrative regions. The weekly training sessions concentrate on both basic and advanced situations within the engineering environment for projects, including documentation, measurements, and interpretation of construction drawings.
One of the topics that was mentioned or came up is ethics. As our manager mentioned earlier, that to maintain our integrity and not to collect bribes.
When completed, in excess of 100 staff will benefit from the training.
No matter how the contractor may disguise it, is a bribe. Don't collect it. This may keep the integrity of yourself and the ministry and everyone around us.
Marvin Cato reporting for HGP Nightly News.
The Bishop's High School Arts Club on Saturday will be keeping the Christmas spirit alive with its highly anticipated Winter in Wonderland Christmas exposition to usher in the festive season. Antonio Day spoke with the organizers of the event, and he reports now.
To usher in the festive season, the Bishop's High School will be hosting its highly anticipated edition of the Winter in Wonderland Christmas Fair and Exposition on Saturday, December 13. Miss Elizabeth Niles Williams, senior mistress at the academic institution on Wednesday, during an exclusive interview with Nightly News, said that this event is one that no patron should miss.
And it's going to be one of the biggest fair ever thrown at the Bishop's High School. It's called the Winter Wonderland, Christmas Fair, Village, everything you can think about.
Niles Williams said that the event scheduled for this weekend will be family-oriented.
You're going to have a lovely time. Not only are we talking about a Christmas fair or the Christmas village that is going to be set up, you're going to have games. You're going to have all sorts of things.
An added attraction to the day's activities is the Mr. and Miss Bishop's Grand Coronation Night.
It is so big. Some of the things that is amazing is that the students who have opted are some of the quietest students. But when you see these students put in the performance, I was amazed. I know that we are doing a great job at the Bishop's High School here. So let me tell you, if you don't come to the Bishop's High School on Saturday to miss us to this.
Meanwhile, students from the school's arts club also informed Nightly News about other exhilarating activities.
Music is going to be blasting. It's going to be lots of fun. Our special guest artist, we're releasing it now because we have not released it anywhere else. Our guest artist is going to be Omaya Hall. She's a past student of the Bishop's High School. She sings great music, so everybody must come out because it is the place to be on Saturday, December 13th.
Patrons will also enjoy a day of fun and games.
Dunk tank, trampoline. There's going to be lots of food. Places that you probably knew. Twisted Lemon, there's going to be From Wheat Tree.
There will also be a booth for families to take photographs to complement the festive season. There's also the much anticipated Grinch vs. Santa Claus showdown.
Who won?
You get to bid on who you think will win.
It's going to be a Who Stole Christmas.
There will also be guest appearances by comedian Officer Bling and social media influencer Jose Roberts. Antonio Day reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
Stay tuned for regional news.
Good evening and welcome to Wednesday's edition of the Regional News. The Bahamas government is proposing that the United States consider the implementation of a formal visa-free travel treaty between the two countries. The country's Foreign Affairs Minister Fred Mitchell said the issue had become much more important as the United States intensified its crackdown on illegal migrants in the North American country, and with U.S. President Donald Trump recently vowing to ban migration from all third world countries. Bahamians have always wanted to travel freely to the United States, Mitchell told Parliament. Bahamians currently are able to travel to the United States without a U.S. visa if they have a clean police record, but need a visa if they're entering the United States from another country. Mitchell said the Smuggling of Migrants Bill 2025 is important for bringing Bahamian laws in line with international expectations and standards. About 230 Kenyan police officers arrived in Haiti on Monday, December 8, marking the largest no deployment to the Gang Suppression Force, GSF, since the mission was reorganized. Their arrival came as more than 100 officers already in Haiti boarded flights back to Nairobi as part of a scheduled rotation. The deployment comes as violence escalates in both Port-au-Prince and surrounding regions, where gangs recently killed at least 20 people. Armed groups continue to carry out kidnappings, arsons, and road blockades, contributing to the displacement of more than 1.4 people across Haiti. This Kenyan contingent is the first formally integrated under the Gang Suppression Force, GSF, a newly reconstructed UN-backed multinational mission, replacing the under-resourced Multinational Security Support, MSS Force. Unlike its predecessor, the GSF has a more aggressive, time-bound mandate to dismantle gangs, secure key infrastructure, and support humanitarian access. As gang violence spread and public institutions remain overwhelmed, the GSF is supposed to represent a shift from merely stabilizing Haiti to actively reclaiming territory and re-establishing state control. And now for some international news. Australia's social media ban for people aged under 16 has officially started, marking a world-first push to protect children from phone addiction and online harms. From now on, a group of social media platforms will face penalties of up to $50 million if they do not take responsible steps to prevent children and teenagers aged under 16 from holding social media accounts. Australia's age-restricted social media apps are Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Kik, Reddit, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitch, X, formerly known as Twitter, and YouTube. In a video address, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese encouraged kids to make the most of school holidays coming up rather than spending it scrolling on their phones. The government list of age-restricted apps will almost certainly grow in the coming weeks. Australia's online safety watchdog is keeping an eye out for other platforms that fit the criteria, and tech companies are required to constantly monitor if they are likely to be captured by restrictions at any time. And while the ban technically starts today, the government has admitted it won't be perfect. Thank you for watching. I am Tiana Cole.
Delvin Neblet is up next with HGP's Sports Pulse.
Good evening, Guyana. I'm Delwin Neblet with your HGP TV Sports Pulse for today, Wednesday, December 10, 2025. We begin tonight with football. The schoolboys segment of the President's Futsal Championship began at the Cliff Anderson Sports Hall on Tuesday, marking the first time the category has been featured in the tournament. Results on day one include a 3-2 victory for BRICKDAM Secondary over Breeden Hoop Secondary and a 4-1 victory for DOLPHIN Secondary over Cummings Lodge Secondary. St. Stanislaus College secured a commanding 7-0 victory over North Rhineveld Secondary, as West Rhineveld Secondary also dominated with an 8-0 victory over Hope Secondary. The competition is being played in a round-robin format with free admission to all school fixtures. Moving into boxing, the Guyanese duo of Kevin Alicock and Desmond Amsterdam both suffered a round of 16 exits to their 2025 International Boxing Association Men's World Championship campaigns. Competing at the Dubai Duty-Free Tennis Stadium in Garhoud, Alicock lost on points to Portuguese fighter Sergio Rodriguez Mendes after 3 rounds of intense fighting. Desmond Amsterdam also experienced a disappointing exit in his middleweight bout after controlling the opening round but losing as a result of an accidental clash of heads just before the round concluded. Much to the astonishment of the spectators and following an unusual delay, the decision was awarded to Moldova's Davron Bozorov, disallowing any further Guyanese participation in the ongoing tournament. Moving into cricket, action concluded in the 2025 GCB Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports 1 Guyana Women's Senior Intercounty T20 tournament with a thrilling final between Berbice and Essequibo at the Lusignan Community Centre ground on Tuesday. Winning the toss and batting first, Essequibo struggled to reach 62 before being bowled out in 16.3 overs. Player of the match Latoya Williams top scored with an unbeaten 20 from 17 as Plafiana Millington was destructive, taking 4 for 3 from 3.3 overs. In response, Berbice were bowled out for exactly 62 and 18.1 overs as only Sharika Campbell with 13 got into double figures. Both Kumar Prasad and Yonit Welcome picked up 2 wickets to ensure that the final match in the tournament would be decided in a super over. Captain Shanita Grimmond and Sharika Campbell began the super over against Kumar Prasad before Grimmond was run out on the second delivery. Campbell then remained unbeaten on 3 and Plafiana Millington on 1 as Berbice got just 5 runs from their 6 deliveries. Essequibo then started with Latoya Williams and Shonit Belgrave against Plafiana Millington before Williams was run out of the fielding of Renita Ramdio. Anastasia Valenzuela and Belgrave would then see it home for Essequibo as they secured a clean sweep of both the 50 overs and T20 Women's Senior Intercounty titles in 2025. Essequibo's captain Laureen Williams with an aggregate of 85 scored the most runs in the tournament, while Tremaine Marks, who picked up 8 wickets, the most by any bowler, was also recognized as the tournament's MVP. More in cricket, His Excellency President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali delivered on his promise to the Hinterland All-Stars women's cricket team in providing tangible support after their debut senior inter-county season came to a close on Tuesday. After the final match where Essequibo emerged as champions, cricketing equipment in the form of fully stocked gear bags were presented to every player with the kind compliments of the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs and the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. Making the presentation in the absence of the ministers, FL Sports Director John Ramsing encouraged the girls to use the new equipment not only to enhance their individual crafts, but also to encourage active participation in women's cricket upon returning to their respective communities. And finally, in cricket, action commenced in the second of 3 test matches between the West Indies and New Zealand at the Basin Reserve in Christchurch on Tuesday. Batting first after being sent in, the Windies were bundled out for 205 in 75 overs as Blair Tickner picked up 4 for 32 and Michael Ray picked up 3 for 67. Shea Hope top scored for the Windies with 48 from 80 as John Campbell added 44 from 87. New Zealand then reached 24 without loss from 9 overs at the close of play on day 1, with Yvonne Conway unbeaten on 16 and the captain Tom Latham unbeaten on 9. That's it for this edition of the HGP TV Sports Pulse. I'm Delwyn Neblett reminding you to stay in the game.
Mohammed's extradition hearing to continue on January 6. Matter remains in the magistrates' court. Despite promises of a blackout-free holiday, GPL woes continues. Blackout still not a thing of the past. GHRA warning on Human Rights Day. Human rights being pushed aside in Guyana. Public Works Ministry engaged in refresher training for technical staff. And in sport, BRICKDAM and DOLPHIN secondary schools record wins on opening day of the President's Futsal Championships. Those are our major headlines. For these stories and more, please go to our website. It's www.hgptv.com. I'm Travis Chase. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.